Hello everyone and welcome back to NovaLogos Audio English. In our previous chapters we focused on the beauty of growth and the mystery of the seed. But today in Chapter 4 we address a more difficult reality. We are looking at the parable of the wheat and the weeds. In our lives and in our learning journeys, things are rarely perfect. We plant good seeds of ambition and study, but sometimes weeds appear. Distractions, negative thoughts, or difficult people who seem to hinder our progress. This parable gives us profound wisdom on how to handle these complications. It teaches us that rushing to fix everything immediately can sometimes do more harm than good. Let's explore the language of patience, discernment, and the final harvest. Section 1. The narrative of the enemy's work. Let's listen to the narrative from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 13, verses 24 through 30. Notice the tension between the master's wisdom and the servant's urgency. The kingdom of heaven is like a man who sowed good seed in his field, but while people slept, his enemy came and sowed weeds, also among the wheat, and went away. But when the blades sprang up and yielded fruit, then the weeds appeared also. The servants of the householder came and said to him, "Sir, didn't you sow good seed in your field? Where did these weeds come from?" He said to them, "An enemy has done this." The servants asked him, "Do you want us then to go and gather them up?" But he said, "No, lest perhaps while you gather up the weeds, you root up the wheat with them. Let both grow together until the harvest." Section 2. Vocabulary Deep Dive. Coexistence and Discernment. This story introduces concepts of conflict and careful management. Let's look at our key vocabulary. First, the word weeds. In the original context, these were likely darnel, a plant that looks exactly like wheat until it is fully grown. In English, a weed is any plant growing where it is not wanted. Metaphorically, we talk about weeding out bad habits or errors. We need to weed out the mistakes in this report. Second, consider the phrase, gather them up. To gather up means to collect things together into a group. The servants wanted to gather up the weeds immediately. In daily life, you might gather up your courage before a difficult speech or gather up your belongings before leaving. Third, look at the verb root up. To root up, or uproot, means to pull a plant out of the ground by its roots. The master was afraid the servants would root up the good wheat by mistake. We use this for major changes too. The family was uprooted when they moved to a new country. Fourth, notice the word householder. A householder is the person who owns or is in charge of a house and its land. It is a formal term for a master or a manager. In the parable, the householder represents the calm wisdom of God. Finally, the word lest. This is a beautiful, slightly formal word meaning for fear that, or to avoid the risk of. Seen in P said. The master said, "No, lest perhaps you root up the wheat." You might say, "I am taking an umbrella lest it should rain." Section 3. Symbolic Wisdom. The wisdom of letting both grow. The master's response is surprising. He says, "Let both grow together." The reality of imperfection. We often want our lives to be 100% wheat. Only good habits. Only success. Only perfect English. But the parable reminds us that weeds, challenges or mistakes, often grow right next to our successes. This is a normal part of the human experience. The danger of impatience. If the servants had pulled the weeds too early, the wheat would have died too. In our own growth, if we are too hard on ourselves for our mistakes, we might destroy our motivation and our good progress. Sometimes, You have to tolerate your errors for a while as you keep growing. Final discernment. The difference between the wheat and the weeds becomes clear only at the end. At the harvest, the wheat is heavy with grain, while the weeds are empty. Time is the greatest judge of character and truth. Section 4. Advanced language pattern. Asking, where did come from? The servants asked, where did these weeds come from? This is a very common and useful way to ask about the origin of something unexpected. Where did this idea come from? Where did all this noise come from? I found a mistake in the code. Where did it come from? You can use this to express surprise or to seek the source of a problem. It sounds much more natural than saying, what is the origin of this? Section 5. Practical application. Protecting your wheat. How do we apply the lesson of the wheat and the weeds to our lives? First, don't panic when weeds appear. If you have a bad day or make an embarrassing mistake in English, don't feel like your whole field is ruined. Enemy, stress, fatigue, or doubt might have sowed those thoughts, but they don't change the fact that you also have good seed growing. Second, focus on the wheat, not the weeds. If you spend all your energy trying to eliminate every tiny flaw, you won't have energy left to produce fruit. Focus on being productive and being kind. Third, trust the time of harvest. You don't have to prove you are wheat every single second. Stay faithful to your growth, and when the harvest comes, whether that's a job interview or a big presentation, your fruit will speak for itself. Consolidation and review, deepening your understanding. Let's review the key expressions and wisdom from this chapter. An enemy has done this. Recognize that not all negative thoughts or situations come from you. Sometimes they are external weeds that you just have to deal with, lest you root up the wheat with them. Be careful with all-or-nothing thinking. Don't destroy your overall progress by being too aggressive with a small mistake. Let both grow together until the harvest. Accepting coexistence is a sign of maturity. We can work toward our goals even while some problems remain unsolved. Where did these weeds come from? Practice using this phrase to investigate the source of unexpected challenges in your project or life. Gather them up. In the end, there will be a time to organize and separate. For now, focus on growing strong enough to be gathered as wheat, yielded fruit. Just like the previous chapters, the focus is on the result. The weeds have no fruit, but the wheat does. Your productivity is what defines you. Root up. Pulling something out by the roots is a permanent change. Be sure before you root up a relationship, a job, or a habit. Integrity in a mixed world. Life is a mixture of good and bad. Having integrity means staying good wheat even when you are surrounded by weeds. Thank you for joining us for Chapter 4 of NovaLogos Audio English. Don't let the weeds of life discourage you. Keep your roots deep and your head high. If this lesson helped you find balance, please like and subscribe. We are cultivating wisdom together. We will see you in Chapter 5, where we will discuss the parable of the net. Until then, grow in peace and be patient. Goodbye.